All right, guys, sorry about that. I had some technical difficulties with the stream, so I apologize. Is everyone able to see me right now? Hopefully. Um, Now, welcome to our second episode of the Hustle and Grow Show. This is the podcast where we're going to shine spotlight on the incredible journey of small business owners. I'm your host and fellow entrepreneur, Alexis. And each week, we're going to bring on inspiring interviews with entrepreneurs who have hustled, who have grown, who have achieved remarkable success. So whether you're a budding entrepreneur or you're just simply curious about the world of small business, this is the podcast for your go-to source for inspiration and knowledge. All right, so let's dive in and let's uncover the secrets of success together. Now, today's guest is going to be Bobby Virk. He's a man of many talents. He has tons of experience in the world of business. He's a big asset to the DFW networking community. He's a board member of the DFW Network Chamber. So without further ado, Mr. Bobby Virk, welcome, boss man. Now,
good morning.
Hello, Bobby. So I know that you have some exciting news to share with us. So we'll save that for the closing, kind of keep everyone on their toes. So can you start off by just telling us a little bit about your background and what inspired you to start your business?
Sure. I'm actually an IT professional for over 20 years, running the IT department for Nature Nate's Honey Company, and IT manager at Dr. Pepper, solutions architect at the Hershey Company. And I used to run a small transportation software company in my early days back in Chicago. Yes, that's where I'm from. I'm not really sure what the record's going to be like for the Bears this year with football kicking off, but at least I have 1985. I've seen every major championship run through my city, so I will die peacefully. So what led me to go into small business or create my own small business? Well, life events. It's a lot of detail behind it, but there were some struggles. And I have all this experience in management as well as in the CPG space, consumer packaged goods. That's the Dr. Pepper cans, the Hershey chocolate candy, and what have you, from an IT side. Within my career, I came out and studied as more of a developer, right? Computer science. But where my growth really occurred was focusing on the business, becoming a liaison, being a partner, speaking at national sales conferences of 10 to 15,000 salespeople with about how technology can influence their day-to-day to increase sales, create efficiencies, X, Y, and Z. So I take all that, and I'll have some plugs to some hardships that you learn along the way too. In this little background is that when you are a utility player, a jack of all trades, and you start your own small business, you need to segment and silo and go after, one, what you're passionate about, two, something that is clear for the consumer about what you do, because I even failed doing that at first. It becomes too confusing and people don't know what you're doing. So focus on your niche, your target, customers, and make sure that everything is very clear and direct. I used to be a former athlete, playing volleyball, basketball, what have you, USA girls volleyball coach in my 20s. So fitness has always been there. But it really came to fruition, and why I got certified and wanted to create healthier lives for lasting changes. Myself, decades of fitness, but the change didn't last, right? It could have been complications in life. It could have been being too much of a Dallas socialite, going out too much, right? We all encounter these things, X, Y, and Z, either if it's fun or if there were some life events that, you needed to fill that void. But once I made that commitment and change, I went ahead and took it further and said, I'm the average guy. I'm not the biggest, I'm not the strongest, I'm not the fastest. But I'm going to tell you my metrics is when I had gotten to a point where I needed to know that I needed to make this long-lasting change was I was, at the age of 39, I was 228 pounds with a 42-inch waist. That's the biggest I've ever been. I'm 6'2". I've always been tall and slender, let's say 160, 170, but right now I'm about 194. I dropped 51 pounds in 4.5 months, and by the time I turned 40. And then each year after that, I took it to another level. So age is irrelevant. It's just a number. It's about your effort, right? And nothing worth doing is easy. And that also applies to what you are all doing right now from a small business standpoint. I'm enjoying what I'm doing, but with that jack of all trades, as Alexis mentioned, is that it's not just the fitness. I want to take my IT stuff. So coming soon will be my web development and design. That's going to include flyers, logos, but it's to help the other small businesses who are having to spend money to make money. You can't afford some of these contracts. Now, remember, I've worked for multi-billion-dollar companies. That contract workout, you can't afford those per hour rates. And so
I know I can't.
you like the pricing that comes out for me. The web design development will come out here in September. And on top of that, the services that I've gone after for my own business, I'm like, well, I can do that myself. This shirt I made myself. Alexis's shirt I made for her. So I will have a print shop as well. That's going to be shirts, stickers, hats, bags, home and living, things of that nature. Because I'm like, I could do that better and cheaper and more cost effective for the average Joe and Jane. All right, that's a long intro. Go ahead, Alexis. I know you.
I love that though. I know I talk a lot, so I'm like, finally, for once, someone's talking just as much as I am. So that makes me so happy. Please don't ever apologize again for that. My next question though, which is kind of on the lines with your introduction though, you have so many things that you're currently working with. Is that kind of because, would you say, like, the fitness world is pretty heavily saturated business, so you kind of took up multiple roles to really enhance like your business as a business owner? Or
Yes, that is correct. And there's two passions that I'm blending together, right? The IT and the fitness. So my fitness platform and the solutions I use, it's all powered by technology, right? I've done these multi-million-dollar software evaluations for large companies. I did the same processes to my own. My website I built myself. The communications with Zoom Phone, Zoom business meetings I've done myself. The integrations I've done myself. Why? Because it is a lot cheaper than contracting that out to third-party vendors or consultants. So because I'm very transparent. I've had a brutal divorce, ongoing custody issues. I was bleeding money like there's no tomorrow. So I had to come up with innovative ways, not all exactly like I did in big business, where we had this total cost of ownership year over year, 20% cost reduction with our big budget expenses. I was applying to myself because I needed that money for other things or putting food on the table. And so blending those two together. However, this is 20 years of IT experience, schooling, right? I get a certification in under 2 months for fitness. Just, God bless my dad's brains got passed down to me. It doesn't take me long to study, but it's a new industry for me. So I knew that I had to get my feet wet, and the announcement later is also going to illustrate that it is a saturated market, that it is a tough industry with COVID going on. The online market, increased, but there's a lot of bad information out there. There's a lot of folks who are doing things that could cause issues for folks down the road, let alone injury. And I'll leave the announcement of the changes that are happening for Bodybuilding Fitness towards the end.
Okay, awesome.
The two passions together. So fitness will always be there because I'm 44 now, right? At 39, I look like I was probably 50. And I've got young guys at the gym who are like, sir, what are you, like 32, 30? I'm like, add a decade. And so I feel better. People say I've got this crazy amount of energy, let alone I am avoiding, and why I say invest in your health now, regardless of age. I wish I started sooner, but other priorities or stupidities took over. And so you want to avoid increasing medical costs, increasing pharmaceutical prescriptions, which are just a Band-Aid that are not going to eliminate the root cause and eliminate, let's say, high blood pressure or what have you. So invest in your health now.
And on that topic, invest with me. That's just kidding. But so
I have some comments about that too, about what you're trying to do here, other networks, the chamber that I'm a part of, how we're trying to change the way things work. and we can get to that. I'm sure you have a question for it.
You can go ahead and say it now. No, go ahead.
No, that's okay. Follow your script. We'll get to it.
Oh,
It'll still be here.
okay. Well, for me, I would forget. um, so I guess to kind of consolidate everything all into one whole that you're doing, what are you gonna say is your biggest challenge that you face as a small business owner?
See, you had the right question that leads into this. Basically, lead generation and gaining additional clientele. I know this is a struggle for all of you because if we look at how we're trying to grow organically right now in Alexis's or in the DFW network chamber that's been around and has a uh, wider net of people and industry, is that it's just extremely hard, especially if it's new to you, right? For me, I'm only 2.25 years into the fitness industry. I plan to make it more successful than my IT career, but it takes time, and great things take time. But one of the pitfalls is definitely the lead generation. And what I'm finding in the networking space too is even though that we all follow each other or we all are sharing information, it's still not boosting referrals. You shouldn't have to incentivize folks to say that I'm giving you $100 this or $100 that.
Right.
We should all have a servant leadership type mentality that, look, we're trying to help support other small businesses. We now have a good referral system because we have a directory of services. And so we can then, if it pops up in our personal life, because I'm finding that family, friends, internal networking, you're not going to get the amount of business that you're looking for. It's more of the outside that you're going to get, and that's what I'm facing, right? That's why I'm making some changes to the fitness side. But we need to do a better job of getting, one, what each business is doing out there. Two, just not sharing, but really referring. And three, we should never expect anything. If you lead with that kind of mentality, good things will happen for you, right? I'm starting to see that my influence is growing. I'm becoming more visible. People are starting to understand things, but it took work. But we also have to share for the right reasons. Sharing and referring just to gain is good, right? Because we're all working hard. We're all having a hard time trying to gain those leads and that clientele. But I think these networking relationships should turn into more of a relationship type, and you're going to see a lot more benefit because then you will be at the top of someone's tongue when it comes to, oh, I need fitness, or I need a web design done, or we need insurance, right? So I think that's one of the hardest things to do. But what I'm liking about this group, and obviously why I chose to become part of the DFW Network Chamber, is I've been invited to other chambers. They're very siloed. They're very non-inclusive. They have $300 initiation fees with $75 monthly fees. As a small business owner, you need that for your own marketing spend or your own investment into your business. And at the end of the day, they're looking at it as a profit scheme, right, for these bigger networks that are out there. I'm not going to name names besides the groups that I'm in, but the ones that I'm in, I've chosen because I do see really trying to help people, really trying to showcase. But mind you, it takes time, right? For it to come to fruition. But there are good people in these groups who are trying to get you out there, who are sharing in the groups that they're involved in, that are liking your posts, increasing your footprint from a social standpoint. But at the end of the day, it's still us. We have to sell ourselves, right? And as much as I'm a shy guy, which is false, right?
Obviously.
One thing I don't do very well is sell myself. I am such a giver that I will give the last dollar off my back. I am the first person that anybody calls to move something. Well, if I ask somebody, which I don't ask people for anything, because I don't want them to expect they're supposed to get something in return. I just do it out of the goodness of my heart, because at some point that pay forward is going to come back to me, or that servant leadership is going to come back in some way. But at the end of the day, it's not about me receiving anything. It's the gratification that I get for helping others. Why am I on this call? Time is the most valuable currency. I'm taking the time to join you and explain where I've come from, all the hardships I'm dealing with, as well as where I plan to go, which I am happier than I've ever been. It's just a lot of hard work. as you know, you're always online when I'm online, so I don't think we sleep.
I don't. I noticed that too. I was
And
like,
such a change in career too, right? The same thing for me. I
yeah.
knew a lot about fitness, but then I did the science, and then I said it's a passion of mine, so I'm going to focus on it. But that wasn't enough for me, right? Because I have all this experience and knowledge and the ability to be highly efficient is why I'm standing up these other branding services. I made mistakes in the beginning that my LLC encapsulated everything, which clouded what I provided. So that's why you're
Oh.
seeing the Bobby V Fitness with its own website. You're seeing the Bobby V Web with the web design and development. Um, Other folks who are leveraging me to establish their brand or service presence. Because for me, honestly, if I had dedicated time, my fitness website could be done in a week and a half, right? So, which is hard to comprehend when most IT projects take months, right? But then again, you find out ways to do things. And my whole purpose is to try to help those small folks out. I've got some friends who, one's a realtor. She's on board for web design and development. I still have my things to finish, so we're always juggling a lot. But I focused on a few things that I felt that were going to help the overall community, overall other small businesses that are likely struggling, right? How to stand up in an LLC, how to get yourself liability insurance. I'm relating to fitness, right? Building your own website, or at least consulting you to not overspend on certain technologies that could help you in your
Well,
small
I know,
business.
for example, like when I literally first met you for the first time at an event, I was telling you about my website. I was like, "Yeah, I built it myself with GoDaddy." You were like, "You don't have to do that, and let me help you." And I was like, "Please, I have no idea what I'm doing." So I'm glad that you have the ability to kind of not just think about your business. Like you've been so helpful with everything in this group, with anything I came to you, because I'm in the business world for like 2 months now. I used to be a teacher. I didn't know what I was doing in the beginning. So you being one of the first people that I met, like first off in the whole networking scene, was
Mhm.
like super helpful to me, because literally you've been like a right hand man, just like JC has for this group. So I appreciate you.
Well, you're very welcome. And that's another thing for folks. We are so virtual now. And don't get me wrong, I'm the IT guy, right? But
Yeah.
I have to be with people. You learn about people's lives, you feel their demeanor. Why I chose the fitness side too. A lot of my customer service in IT, right? I've translated here and I try to create a customer experience, right? Execute with excellence. So, I'm applying those things. It is hard. It's slowly ramping up, but it takes time. Look, I'm 2 years in, but I also wasn't having full dedication to it because I had personal life things going on that
Right.
you know were taking time away. So that's probably why you're even my friends now. They never see me go out because I'm so focused on either helping grow the community of small businesses through the networks that I belong to, as well as my own things that I'm like, why am I taking so long for this? It shouldn't take this long.
I feel that. I mean, and that's good though that you're allocating your time though in a sense as well. Like you're able to give back to other people, you're able to continue doing your work, and then vice versa. And I always kind of struggle with time management, especially being a mom. So,
Mhm.
I mean, what, I guess, advice do you have for people that are starting out that are struggling with like allocating their time or just dedicating more time to certain areas?
Well, if you have something that you want to do or accomplish, right, from starting a small business to running a 10K, you have to plan it out, right? So I've done project management for so many years and even my stuff, but things will happen, right? Which we call try to anticipate the risks that are going to happen in that project or delays that are out of your control. And there are simple tools that we have. You've got the reminder list on your phone, right? But look at least accomplishing one task per day, right? So you can mark something 100% completed. And that might be something small in the grand scheme of a big project, right? You have a go live for a project, but you have milestones along the way. Sorry, my hands are disappearing. But you got to start small, and you have to ask questions. In a lot of cases, you'd be surprised that the people in this group or other groups have the information and have already struggled with it. So reach out, post, right? Especially when you're starting a small business. Has anyone done this? And I'm sure someone's going to chime in. No matter how busy we are, look at our screen reports. We're still on them all the time from our phone standpoint. So it's going to pop up. Or if you start knowing what people are doing and feel that they have the knowledge, it doesn't hurt to ask. If they don't have the time, they'll get back to you, or you move on. So start small, dream big.
Dream big. I love that. So I guess on that same note, essentially, I feel like sometimes I get a little burnt out. I don't know about yourself, especially just being on social media constantly, which that's what I chose. I love the route that I'm taking with social media, but I get a little burnt out or sometimes a little unmotivated. So what would you say helps you keep your passion alive, and like what advice do you have for people to stay motivated, especially since you're doing so many things at once? How do you just keep going?
Purpose and passion, right? And an ultimate goal. Um, I'm trying to create a legacy for my 8-year-old son, right? Because a lot of my wealth has been taken away, right, through X, Y, and Z. It's not all about money, though. I'm not, like I said, I'm the first one to probably get the last dollar off my back. But it doesn't mean I don't get overwhelmed. It doesn't mean that I don't hit these small burnout stages. And this is an obvious plug for my fitness business. I hit the gym a lot, right? So I go 6 days a week, sometimes 2 a days if I feel like it. That is my quiet time. That is I'll give you another one that people have always found strange, that I find peace in not thinking about anything when I'm actually ironing. I know it's strange. But find something that gives you that mental break to recharge, reset, and then attack your task list. But you have to have a list, because if you have, like I do, right? I've got all these different things going on. If I didn't manage it in some way, your path or my path is all scattered, right? I would never actually get to where I need to be if I keep going in opposite directions. So reset, recharge. If that's going to the nail salon, a spa, a hike, a walk, for some, video games. It's one of my things that I have used to do a long time ago. I only do with my son, but anything that takes your mind off it. And a lot of times when you are struggling or you are overwhelmed and you find yourself at a point where you can't figure something out, the best thing to do is step away. The best thing to do when I was so involved in the LLC being everything, I had to go to the 50,000 foot level and be like, now I see why it's confusing and why I'm stuck in going in circles. So you have to do that. And sometimes actually every time it's advantageous that you do.
I love that. That's a great answer, honestly, because I find myself really struggling, and I never thought about it in that perspective of just kind of taking a break and taking a breath, because I'm so just ready to get everything in motion and to get it perfected. When in reality, I'm like banging my head against the wall, like, what do I do? What do I do next? What did I do wrong this time? So that's great advice, even myself, that I'll be taking.
Oh, and I've failed several times along this journey, let's say, right? But as long as you can fail fast, cheaply, and learn from it and not do it again, is the most important. Also, when it comes to tasks, I mentioned try to complete one task, out of, let's say, 15, right? But even if you don't, reset, recharge, get to bed. Why? Because that task is still going to exist tomorrow.
Facts. It's not going away unless you make it go away.
Yeah, think of it for all of us who actually worked in the job place, which I'm sure we all have, right? You can't do everything. The power of no is huge. And you also have to apply that to yourself. No, I cannot get this done today. It needs to be scheduled out 3 days from now or something like that, right? I'm just randomly giving an example. The power of no is huge. Sometimes as we want things to happen so quickly, anytime you move something really fast, you will stumble. You will make mistakes. But those are, mistakes to learn from and hopefully not do it.
Right. So That was awesome. We are going to kind of move into our final stages here. We're on like the 5-minute mark left. We don't want to keep you guys too long. We appreciate you guys tuning in always. But I know Bobby has something really exciting that he wants to share with us. So this is where I was going to ask you, Bobby, any upcoming projects or developments in your business that you would like to share with our listeners today?
Sure. I'll first say that, I've mentioned the DFW Network Chamber, right? If you want more information and about joining, please message me through Facebook. It's a nonprofit organization. We're all about creating a voice and a sounding board for small businesses. So message me on that. But when it comes to me in this announcement, it might have came across as bigger than what it might be, but it is part of what we talked about today. The struggles, the saturation of the fitness industry, also that I am a newbie to it. Forget that I've worked out and was a former athlete and all that. But once you get into the science and let's say the kinesiology of everything, you still have to learn. And we're always learning every day. Even though I've got this 20 plus years in IT, I still learn. I still read, for fun, 1,200-page technical books. I know people think I'm crazy. But Bobby V Fitness has some changes that are already launched on the website. I've also made it more affordable. However, there are some disclaimers that are happening because I wanted to increase my breadth and depth and the fact that I love this gym. I am now training for Crunch Fitness in the Allen, Texas location that is targeted to open November 1st. Why?
Nice.
Again, to learn more, to grow, have an increased reach. I will be able to network because when I am at the gyms, I meet a ton of small business owners. They also have screens that you can market your business as well. So my in-person and online services still exist, and you can see them on my website. You can come and join Crunch Fitness and join me for personal training at that location. There'll be more on my personal website if there are delays. But if you have been, are currently, or planning to be a Crunch member, the Bobby V Fitness services on my website are not available to you, right? If we all know this, it comes down to non-competes. That's the Bobby V Fitness side. The Bobby V Web Design and Development, I have been doing projects for others who have reached out to me. The website and the pricing will be done here in September. And I'm not naming the print shop that Alexis is alluding to on her shirts, but that I'm targeting for October. And again, my focus is to help small businesses. If cost becomes an issue, you message me and I'm willing to work with you to bring it down as much as I can to help another small business, right? Without eating into my pocket at least. But I'm going to be offering with the, like Alexis can tell you, she had her logo done, but I did her design work for free to do it, right? And I'm still going to offer that to the grand public because I don't want to nickel and dime everybody that's out there. But more to come on that over the next couple months. The time is now for you to invest in your health. And I am very glad to have been on this podcast with Alexis, and she's doing great things. And even the IT guy is learning from her when it comes to social media.
I gotta give my credit to Joe Camper. You saw him a lot in the comments today. He has literally showed me everything, told me everything. So I can hopefully continue to grow on social media and be able to share my knowledge as well. So just to wrap up, will you go ahead and tell our listeners where they can find you online? I do have your website posted here, but what social media platforms are you on?
So segueing into that, don't dive into everything, which you should try, right? Because you have to test it. I was on TikTok, YouTube, all this. It takes up a lot of time, and you might not get the reach you expect. So I'm available on Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn for the Bobby V Fitness. And then I think everybody who's in this group has likely seen those links, and that's what I repost when Alexis's posts come out to follow and share. But Instagram is where I originate my content and have my biggest following. So, if you're on that platform, you can go there. But everything I do on Instagram gets cross-posted in Facebook if you don't have Instagram.
I have no luck on any other platform really. Like Facebook is one of my biggest platforms currently. I'm trying to build up my others. I gotta research into how to use those algorithms. So once I figure that out, I'll share that with you guys as well.
Oh, and I do have one quote as it kind of relates to all this, right? So I mentioned friends, family, and internal networks are hard to become your client or customer, right? So a client will become a friend before a friend becomes a client. And that has been huge in the fitness industry because everybody wants something free.
That's facts. That's so facts. I believe that 100%.
And just keep working hard. That's all I gotta say.
All right, Bobby. Well, I appreciate you today, guys. I appreciate y'all for joining us, and we will see you again next Tuesday at 11 a.m. Central. And if you haven't subscribed to the YouTube channel yet, it's down here below. It's at Hustle and Grow Show. So give us a subscription, follow with us, and we hope to see you again next week. Bye, everybody.
Thank you, Alexis. Bye.
Thank you, Bobby.